What is up, weather enthusiasts? I'm your host, Pat's Path Predictor. Let's get right into the weather. Alright, so here's the situation we have for you, ladies and gentlemen. We have what is known as Invest 99W that has been designated by Tropical Tidbits, currently in the Western Pacific Ocean, and we are looking at a situation that could impact a lot of areas in the Bay of Bengal over the next week. Here's where 9W is. It is currently off the coast of Borneo, near Malaysia, and that area over there, which is pretty much in the extreme western part of the Pacific Ocean, right over there. And this is the information we have on it so far. Its current location is 5.4 degrees north and 109.6 degrees east. Its maximum sustained winds are at 15 knots, or about 17 miles per hour. The minimum central pressure is 1,007 millibars. There's really no radius of maximum winds or circulation or anything like that, because right now it's just a huge cluster of thunderstorms that does, according to some models, show signs of organization and development down the road. If we go ahead and show you some other plots that we're looking at, if we go ahead and kind of show you the water vapor imagery of all of this, it's in a rather moist environment as of right now. If we go ahead and actually this thing loads, yeah. All right, now where it's at, it's actually in a very moist environment right now, and is expected to move into a continuously moist environment as it moves through Malaysia, as it moves through Thailand, and it crosses into the Indian Ocean and Bay of Bengal. So we have a pretty big situation over the next week and a half that's going to be taking place. So here's the situation we have. Here's the track models to show you what we're thinking about right now. The track models as we've shown right here. If we go ahead and pull those up, never mind about that. Yeah, it's been pretty interesting to say at the very least. And we've had track models kind of being going all over the place at this current point. The track models previously had this thing moving through Thailand and Malaysia, and then impacting the Indian coast right there, as well as parts of Bengal and potentially Myanmar or Burma, whichever you call it is fine. And the interesting part about this track and intensity forecast from the ensemble tracks is that it's expected to organize and potentially strengthen, and potentially down to a low thousands, maybe upper 990s millibar system as it approaches Thailand, makes landfall there, and then crosses into the Indian Ocean. And then things really start to ramp up in intensity as time continues to go on, and a lot of these ensembles are forecasting this thing to approach either Myanmar or Bangladesh as a strong cyclone over here, potentially down to the 970 millibar range, potentially Category 2 equivalent to the Saffir-Simpson hurricane scale. So definitely something interesting to pay attention to as time continues to go on. And we actually have both some models and some conditions to really show you, to give you a better understanding of what may be happening. We're going to go ahead and start with the European, but I'm not going to start with the operational. I mean, we can't start with the operational because it is showing some signs of organization and development pretty down the road, though. So this is a pretty interesting situation to take a look at, showing signs of organization and development starting about 5 days from now, and then it starts to really get its act together by around day 7. It becomes less of a low-pressure system and starts becoming more of a tropical cyclone as it starts to slowly organize and develop in the Bay of Bengal, as it's kind of just staying out there. Either it's going to hit parts of India right here, or to curve to the north towards Bangladesh or Myanmar over here. Definitely something to pay attention to. But one thing I want to also pay attention to when it comes to the European, I want to pull up the shear forecast as well as the moisture forecast, because if we go ahead and show you the shear forecast, the shear right now in a lot of these areas right here, in a lot of the environment, is not particularly that good for tropical development, but it is forecasted to start to improve, and it is forecasted the shear is to start weakening and allow for tropical development as it both approaches Thailand and as it enters the Bay of Bengal. As you can see, by about 108 hours out, we're seeing a clearing of wind shear in much of the Bay of Bengal, with a lot of areas of 20 knots of shear or less starting to increase through much of the area, and then it starts to kind of hold out from there. It is expected to start to ramp up a bit, particularly in the northern part of the Bay of Bengal, near Calcutta, near Dhaka, near those areas right there, as it starts to organize and develop right there. And from where this thing is right now, the shear is expected to kind of help this thing enhance the outflow. And for those of you who do not know what I just said, basically what I'm saying is that if the shear is far enough away from the system, it'll actually boost its circulation. It'll actually help its rotation, and it'll help its Coriolis force and allow it to organize and strengthen even faster. So that's the situation we kind of have with the shear right there. The wind shear across much of the Bay of Bengal is somewhat favorable for tropical development as we get into next week. If we go ahead and show you the moisture component as to all this, there's a lot of dry air as of right now in the Indian Ocean and particularly around the Bay of Bengal. However, where 99W is right now in the Western Pacific, it's in an area of extremely moist air as of right now. It's in a very favorable environment when it comes to development if we take moisture alone. But the moisture is expected to increase as the system moves further and further to the west, and then parts of India start seeing monsoons, and then you start seeing a huge increase of moisture all across the Bay of Bengal. Almost all the dry air pretty much clears out by the time this thing starts to organize and develop according to the European model. As things start to really get its act together, it's in a pretty moist environment. There is some dry air to pay attention to as this thing starts to approach India, but as of right now, it's a little too early to say what this dry air is going to do exactly. All I can tell you is that it's going to be there. So that's what we have going on through all of this. And the Bay of Bengal, especially by 7 days out, is going to be very moist and allow for this tropical development. If the shear goes down maybe another 5 to 10 knots, I could definitely see a scenario where a pretty major cyclone could start to organize and develop right there. So that's what we have with the shear and the moisture going into this right here. Next thing we're going to go ahead and show you is the GFS model. The GFS model, as we've been seeing, we're going to go ahead and show you that. For the next few models are going to really show signs of organization and development. In fact, we have a 1,002 millibar tropical system moving through Thailand right there before crossing into the Indian Ocean, affecting the Andaman Islands right there, before starting to really organize and strengthen. Gets down to a 930s millibar system, equivalent to a Category 4 hurricane for those of you who live in the United States. Either way, this is a very strong tropical cyclone as it's approaching Bengal. It does weaken a little bit due to the shear and the dry air starting to impact it, but it's still not enough to really stop it before making landfall in eastern Bangladesh over there as around a 965 millibar system before it really starts to weaken and then just dissipate due to mountainous terrain further north into India right there and Burma over there. So that's something to pay attention to. But this is the GFS system right here. And if this holds right there, this could be a very major system to really start the cyclone season in the Bay of Bengal. And this isn't the only model that's forecasting this. This is the CMC model right here. Here's the 12Z CMC. Showing signs of organization and development, gets down to a 1,001 millibar system as it approaches Malaysia and Thailand before moving through the isthmus, and then starting to really organize and develop south of the Andaman Islands, and then things really start to ramp up in intensity. Gets down to the 970s millibar system right there. It gets down to 974 before it starts to make that turn to the north and then to the west, and potentially bring some impacts towards India, towards southeastern India over here as a tropical cyclone. So this is definitely a very serious situation to pay attention to, because if this was just one model run of one model, I'd probably disregard this and not even run this story, to be honest. However, we are seeing, from what I've looked at before I started shooting this, 3 out of the 5 models calling for tropical development, and all of them have this getting somewhat intense, and that's part of the reason why I'm running this. Also, the ensembles are going absolutely crazy with this system. If we go ahead and show you, not the icon, but rather the nav gem right here, the nav gem is showing signs of organization rather quickly, actually. It gets down to 1,001, similar to the CMC as it approaches Thailand and then southern Burma, and then affects the Andaman Islands, and then it starts to make that turn to the north. Gets down to a 990s millibar system, a 990 millibar tropical cyclone, before starting to turn north, and then potentially making landfall in eastern Bangladesh near Myanmar over there. So this is all situations that we need to continue to monitor as time continues to go on. And the stuff that's really backing this up at this current point is the global sea temperatures, which are exceeding 28 plus degrees Celsius across a lot of these areas right there. For those of you who are watching from Myanmar, that's about 82 degrees Fahrenheit. So that's, I know you guys don't use the metric system over there, but for India, Bangladesh, Thailand, Malaysia, 28 plus degrees Celsius waters, that's more than enough for tropical development. And that's way more than enough for a cyclone development right there, and typhoon development if you're watching this from Malaysia, you're watching this from eastern Thailand, and Indonesia, the Philippines, those areas right there. And then you have a situation where you have the ocean heat content. If we go ahead and kind of show you the OHC going into this, if we can actually pull this up, I'm not sure if the website's going to work or not, but the website's not going to work. But the OHC is, I have to assume well over 100 kilojoules per meter cubed right there. That kind of reading of OHC is indicative of potential rapid intensification of this cyclone that could be approaching or the area around India, around Bangladesh, around Myanmar, those areas right there. So definitely something to pay attention to. And if we go ahead and show you the wind shear, like we've said before, the wind shear is not particularly that favorable, at least not yet, but it is forecasted to get more and more favorable as time continues to go on. And we'll go ahead, and we also have a very moist environment where this, where 99L, not 99L, but 99W is, to really kind of back that up. So that's what we have. We'll go ahead and show you the ensemble runs. We'll show you the European ensemble to kind of start this off. Here's the ensemble member main sea level pressure at this current point in time. Not all of it is out, but so please do bear with me, but we have enough out to give you an understanding of what may be going on. A lot of the ensembles are really starting to ramp this up, starting around I'd say 6 days out, and then as the time continues to go on, as we get to 210, 216 hours, or about 9 days out, things really start to ramp up as we get a lot of scenarios of some cyclone, some tropical storm scenarios going on. So definitely something to pay attention to. And then we have the GFS ensembles, and we'll go ahead and show you those. The GFS ensembles is showing signs of organization and development rather early on as it approaches Thailand and then moves through the isthmus, and then starts to show signs of organization and rapid intensification. A lot of these models are calling for that, and there is a bit of a spread with these models, with a lot of them, with basically the spread either for going from here in India all the way to Myanmar, around Yangon, I'd say. So definitely something to pay attention to, but the bulk of the models are calling for it to make landfall around Calcutta, around Dhaka, around those areas right there, or Kolkata. I apologize for that. So definitely something we need to continue to keep an eye on as time continues to go on, and you'll bet your bottom dollar we will keep you updated here on the Pat's Path Predictor channel. But before we go, I want to wish everybody a very happy Thanksgiving. I know I'm going to be having a great time with family, food, all that stuff. I hope you guys do as well, and safe travels for those of you who are traveling, and we'll make sure to keep you updated on what the conditions look like. Have a wonderful day, guys. Stay safe.